I am at the Sherman Reservation, where probably the last major battle occurred along Missionary Ridge that successfully routed the Confederates to give full control of Chattanooga to the Union soldiers. And I am out of breath. I will put a map up on the screen to show you the proximity of these battles between the Bragg Reservation on Missionary Ridge and the Orchard Knob Reservation, along with Point Park and Craven's House, and where Sherman's Reservation is. This is another high point, and it was strategic in gaining the upper ground against the Confederates. This battle was fought, if you'll remember, the battle for Orchard Knob Reservation was November 23rd, and Craven's House was November 24th, if I recall correctly. And the assault on the Bragg Reservation was November 25th. This site was also November 25th when Sherman's troops overran this hill. There were about 750 Union officers and enlisted men who were killed in this battle, compared to about 300 or 420 or so Confederate officers and enlisted men who were killed. But on the Confederate side, there were 4,000 troops that went missing. They literally just ran away. Sherman's Reservation stands as the largest of the reservations taken care of by the National Park Service at just a little over 50 acres. But you can't walk all of it, you have to stay on the path. And there is no parking, there's just a little cutout on the side of the road, and it's about a quarter of a mile hike straight uphill to get here. It doesn't look like anybody's been here in forever. So I would take issue with the Park Service saying that the Orchard Knob Reservation is the least visited park, because I think it's this one. So I have a friend of mine who I won't name, but his initials are Tom Turner. He reached out to me after my first video about the Bragg Reservation to tell me that I had made a mistake in my video. And he made a valid point, even though I disagree with him, because he said that Chattanooga was already in the control of the Union Army. Capturing these battle places did not give them Chattanooga. And that's true to a point. They were already in the valley of Chattanooga, and they controlled the railway, at least in Chattanooga, but they could not get the trains in and out. They did not control the area to make Chattanooga safe. And it was in the Battle of Orchard Knob and the Battle of Craven's House on up to Point Park, the Battle of Bragg Reservation, and this battle, Sherman Reservation, that routed the Confederate troops and had the complete and total fall of Chattanooga to the Union Army. This area is known as Sherman Heights. And the area where the Confederates were lodged or going to is called Tunnel Hill. And so we have this map of everything that happened around here. But without these battles and without these victories, there is no guarantee that the Union Army would have maintained Chattanooga. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, that's 3 days in a row. I think that's enough for anybody.
It's really interesting because yesterday when I was at Orchard Knob, I went there because it had come up in my YouTube feed. I mentioned my friend Tom Turner in the video, and I was kind of poking fun at Tom. Tom is a real history buff, and I'm not. So, I kind of go with what he says most of the time. Most of the time. And then he reminded me that he had told me about that Orchard Knob reservation, which I told him, I said, I've been through Orchard Knob a lot and kind of let it go because I didn't know what he was talking about. But today he'd never heard of the Sherman Reservation, so I got one up. This one, it was interesting because I thought, okay, I'm stumbling across these things and I got to know what else is here. So I'm using a new AI tool called Perplexity. I like it so much better than everything else that I have used or talked about before. And it is a brilliant search engine. And so I just asked it to list the various Civil War reservations that are found in the Chattanooga area. And it listed several, and Sherman's reservation was one of them. And it had said that it was the largest one at 50 acres. And I was like, okay, I'm going there. Well, then I started doing a little research and I realized that, people were saying you got to walk a quarter of a mile to get into the woods, through the woods into the thing. And then I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that or not. So it was a great experience. It's well off the beaten path. In this particular video, I did take the Ulanzi MT-79 to set up the phone and get myself walking around and talking and things like I have done before. But I was hesitant to use the microphone. There was no wind blowing at all. And most of what I recorded, I'm 3 or 4 feet away from the phone and it picked me up just fine. There is one little clip where you hear the cars coming by really loud. And I thought about trying to clean that up in Adobe Podcast Enhance, but ultimately I decided to leave it. There is the entrance to the reservation is way over here in this little tiny backwoods neighborhood that full of dead ends and old beat up cars sitting in the driveways. And then you walk across to the other side, and the far side of the Sherman Reservation is near a 4-lane highway, and so that's where all the noise was coming from. And I just decided to leave it because I thought it made it a little more authentic. This will be the last one for a little while. I have a different video in mind for tomorrow that I've been waiting several days because it needed to be on Monday. And so, we'll go from there. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you tomorrow.